And continuing through the card, we got another awesome fight right here. Drew Dober versus Gene Silva. Dober getting a home game here, and he's going to be fighting in the state he's been training in for years. And he's an all-violence legend. He has the most knockouts in lightweight history. But he's in a prove-it stage of his career at this point again. For a long time, Dober was kind of just another guy in the UFC, but had that late career resurgence, made a big name for himself, and ended up fighting Islam, getting into some big fights, and then lost that one, built himself back up. And when he fought Matt Frevola last May, had he won that fight, he probably would have gotten a top 5 opponent, but that loss set him back pretty majorly. He got a quick comeback win over Ricky Glenn, but then lost again to Renato Moicano in February. So 35 years old now, 2 losses in the last 3 fights. Dober needs a win here, and they were setting him up with Mike Davis originally for the state, who's another good prospect, and now they're giving him Gene Silva. So it looks like the UFC is trying to build someone off of Dober's name, and Dober, with the win here, could get himself back in the mix. So overall, it's a good opportunity for both fighters. For Gene Silva, jumping back in the octagon just 2 weeks after his knockout win over Charles Jourdain, Silva has back-to-back knockouts to start his UFC career, and a win over Drew Dober on short notice will open up some doors for Silva. He's taking a risk here, though. He's had a difficult weight cut his last fight. He missed weight. Now he's moving up a weight class, coming back super quick. So it's tough circumstances, especially fighting a guy like Drew Dober. But then again, fighting a guy like Drew Dober makes it worth it. But Gene Silva is a tank. He's a knockout artist. On the feet, he's super explosive, dynamic, long, wide stance. He moves in and out quickly. He likes to pressure, feint, fake, and then close the gap with the 1-2s and pull counter. He has good head movement. His check hook is one of his money punches. He has dropped multiple fighters with that. He'll throw some kicks, some jump attacks. He's a really explosive guy. Tends to fight in bursts, though. He'll start a bit slow as well, but once he gets going, and he only needs to land one clean shot to end a fight. Pretty good defense, but you could time him sometimes. And I haven't seen a fighter be able to get inside on Silva either and make him pay by throwing extended combinations when he pulls back. But I feel like cutting the cage off with effective pressure, feinting, trying to open Silva up, and then countering would be smart, and that's something that Dober does really well. Silva's likely going to be faster, though, and his power is profound, so he could become the second guy in the UFC to knock Dober out if he wins. Has 10 knockout wins, and he's never been knocked out himself. And he's going to have to prove more once he fights a wrestler. His takedown defense looks a bit questionable, and we saw in his last fight with Charles Jourdain, he did get taken down a couple of times, but he hasn't been controlled in his fights from what I've seen. He has short-range power, so as you're trying to take him down in some of the scrambles, he can land a short uppercut or a punch and knock you out, which we saw him do versus Jourdain. And he trains at a really high-level grappling gym also, so he has to have good grappling. It does seem like he likes to attack guillotines. He has great cardio, and I would say he fights smart, but he's only 1-2 in decisions. It's kind of hard to read much into that, though, because both of his decision losses were over 6 years ago, and he easily won his decision versus Kevin Vallejos in 2023. Got better as the fight went on. So I think Silva, at short notice right after a previous fight where he had a bad weight cut. So I want to see Silva on the scales, see how he looks compared to Dober size-wise too. Dober's a shorter lightweight, so they'll be around the same height, but Silva is fought at 135, so Dober's definitely going to have a lot bigger frame. But Drew Dober is someone who's been around forever. We know how he fights at this point. He's an excellent striker. On the feet, he has really good footwork. He cuts the cage off really well. He keeps fighters on the back foot. In this fight, he will be allowed to go forward, but he just needs to stay sharp. He's really good at picking and pulling in the pocket. He has power, nice combinations behind the jab, 3-2s, 2-3s. He has a really similar style to Silva, except he's just more offensive. He's looking to pick and pull, but he creates more opportunities himself with feints, and he tries to be first more, whereas Silva counters a lot. And Dober attacks the body. His body kicks are vicious. He'll go high with head kicks too. And his durability is, legendary. So he could take a shot to give a shot. He does also do a little bit better job tucking his chin than Silva, I feel. And he's been in more wars, though. So if it's a chin-for-chin battle, it really could go either way. In the stand-up, it's going to be an amazing fight because I think it's going to be mostly in the pocket. And Drew Dober is the bigger guy. It may be smart for him to try to clinch and mix in some body locks. That isn't Dober's game, but if he could do it, he could score some points, maybe fatigue Silva a little bit. Usually when Dober loses, it's through being submitted or out wrestled himself. So this matchup is a good one because Silva won't wrestle more than likely. And Dober always comes in amazing shape. His cardio is really good. And I think he's going to be motivated to get the job done here in front of his home crowd. And this fight's going to be great. And I think it could go either way. For Gene Silva, I do kind of think he's knockout or bust unless he can have big knockdowns. I just feel like Dober's going to be pressuring, controlling the center, the pace, probably be more active. I think Dober has more weapons. Both guys are super comfortable picking and pulling in the pocket, but I think Dober does a little bit better job at feigning and setting things up. But he's also more offensive and reckless, so Silva is going to have his opportunities, and Dober's going to be the fighter doing more. I think he has the power to knock out anyone himself, obviously, too. I kind of question Silva's cardio because I think it's difficult circumstances. If Dober puts that pressure on him, digs the body, eats some punches that maybe have made others get knocked out and stay in Silva's face, we could see Silva fade. I will say Dober also fought a similar opponent, probably not as solid and definitely not as good cardiovascularly in Rafael Alves, and he was able to knock Alves out. So I'm going to predict that Dober gets the knockout late second. But if Silva catches him how Matt Favola did, I wouldn't be shocked either. It's kind of a pass for me betting-wise. I'm a little bit surprised to see the line be so close, though. And if Dober becomes an underdog, I could maybe be enticed on a bet on Dober. But for now, I'm just going to predict him to win via second round knockout, and it's probably a pass.